Am I the a-hole for saying I don't want my girlfriend's friend around my newborn son anymore? I'm a recently new father of a 1-month-old, and I'm loving every second of it. Everything is absolutely perfect and going a lot smoother than I expected. However, something isn't sitting right with me, and I can't tell if I'm overreacting or if my concern is valid. Plenty of people come over to visit, and normally everything is fine with no issues whatsoever. Eventually, one of my girlfriend's friends comes over to meet my son. He comes over, and everything seems fine, nothing out of the ordinary, until my girlfriend says he needs changing. I say, sure thing, I'm on it. Pick him up and bring him over to the changing mat. Then he says this, I can't wait to watch you change his nappy. There's an awkward silence, and my girlfriend laughs it off and says, you're such a weirdo. I get this immense sinking feeling in my gut and immediately feel worried. I didn't know what to do, as I couldn't suddenly say he doesn't need changing anymore, and it's also an open plan room layout. I huddle over my son, making absolutely sure he can't see him from the angle he was sitting at. As I'm changing him, he stands up and walks over to try to look at my son. I instantly put a new nappy on. I'm not sure whether he saw or not. I act casual, hand my son over to my girlfriend, and sit next to her to make sure he doesn't get too close to my son. I pretend everything is fine until he leaves, and then I tell my girlfriend that I'm not comfortable with him coming over again. She asks why, and I refer to the comment he made. She is incredibly blasé about it and says, oh, he says weird stuff all the time. I think he's just a bit autistic. I tell her that it's my choice as well, who gets to see my son, and that he really creeped me out. She then says I'm being dramatic and just brushes it off. I'm completely lost on what to do. Am I the a-hole for wanting to be cautious, and did I overreact? I'm just so confused and don't really know what I can and can't do. I feel like it's a very weird thing to think, let alone say, and the tone was just bizarre. It wasn't a kind of, "Aw, I can't wait to see you change him," although I still think that would be a strange statement. I just have this weird feeling and don't know how to handle the situation. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments before reading the update. Not the a-hole. Something similar happened to me. My sister-in-law and her husband were at our home, and when bedtime came, he asked to put my son's PJs on. Instant mommy radar alert. No way was he going to do that, so I told him no. Years later, he violated his own son. Trust your gut. Yes, exactly. Protect your son at all costs. Your girlfriend thinks you're being dramatic, but it's better safe than sorry. Talk to your girlfriend about trusting each other's gut feelings going forward as parents. Make it clear you would really like her cooperation on this, and that she can trust you to trust her gut around people or situations too. Unfortunately, my parents didn't trust their off feelings, and I paid for it. I'm very sorry to hear that. I'll definitely make it clear, thank you. It really caught me off guard, and I regret not just stopping it. Thank you so much for the advice. Yes, this is not something that is negotiable. You and she are wholly responsible for protecting your child, as you know, of course. Don't worry about trampling on anyone's feelings at all, ever. Never, ever, ever. Trust your gut every time, no matter how ridiculous it may feel or how irrational you fear you may look. Now for the update. After a long talk, I am very glad to say we are no longer letting him anywhere near our son. There was some absolutely outstanding advice from people here, and I'm so glad to see constructive criticism rather than judgment. From now on, our son will be changed in private, away from absolutely everyone, regardless of relationship or gender. He will never see my son again. We've agreed not to say that directly to him and to hope he never notices. If he does notice and asks why, then we will tell him straight up that it's because of the comments. I will never care about how people see me from now on. I absolutely should have said something there and then. While I admit it's daunting to be wrong, I'd rather be cautious and be seen as the bad guy than ever risk someone having those thoughts about my son. I wish I had felt rage instead of confusion in the moment. I honestly can't thank the people here enough. She did agree before I showed her these comments, but the responses here absolutely reinforced my gut feelings, and she was shocked that she didn't see it sooner. I'm still learning as a parent, but one thing I absolutely can do, no matter what, is prioritize my son over other people's emotions. Thank you so much for your help, you wonderful people, and I sincerely apologize for not getting back to everyone. I want you to know that each and every comment helped me and my future wife build a better and safer life for our son. Next story. Update. Am I the a-hole for being proud that I went off on my sister's fiancé in glorious fashion? Original post. My little sister is getting married, and I can't stand the man she intends to subject us to in the next 6 months or so. That's generous. My sister is 25, her fiancé is 26, and on the cunt scale, he comes in at a whopping thunder cunt. This freaking guy has no business being at large in any community. Anywhere, anytime there could be a woman present. He has backwards opinions about women and women's rights, and my sister, whom I thought was really intelligent, seems oblivious to it. Or even worse, just going along with it because he's semi-attractive and has a decent job. That's speculation, but I genuinely cannot find a single redeeming quality in this POS. Here are a couple of examples. 1. My sister loves to travel. She planned a trip with her best gal pal to Greece because he's afraid of flying. He found out and got mad that she'd take a trip with someone who's not him. She reminded him that he's afraid of flying. He told her that if she loved him, she'd cancel the trip that she'd already paid for and stay home with him. She called me to tell me she was upset, and I told her to tell him to get lost and go on a trip anyway. She canceled the trip instead. 2. My sister loves her job and her boss, which is freaking unheard of. And after they're married, she wants to go back to school to get her PhD because her company will pay for it. That's great. Any loving partner would celebrate that as a win for them and their future family, right? Wrong. He said that when they're married, her focus should be him and the kids. She agreed to stay home for a little while, but said she'd like to go back to work and eventually school. He told her that if that's what she wants, then she's not going to be a good mother, or the type of mother he wants for his children. I told her again to tell him to get lost. She said they put a pin in it. 3. My sister is beautiful, and she's always been confident in her looks. But since dating a-hole, she's become super self-conscious. Nothing she does is good enough for him. She's always asking, "Do you think my fiancé will like this?" Or saying stuff like, "I don't think he'd like me wearing this or doing that," or talking about whatever. And I'm like, to hell with that guy. What do you want? That's just a handful of examples. I had been pretty good about biting my tongue around him for my sister's benefit and in the interest of not causing a scene. But my God, if I didn't have a hell of a time ripping this guy a new a-hole yesterday. It was delicious, some of my best work. And I shouldn't be proud, as I'm an adult, and I know there was a better way to handle it. But here's the gist. He said to my sister something to the effect of, "I thought we decided you weren't wearing that dress anymore, because it makes you look like a streetwalker." My sister didn't respond, but she saw me see the interaction and begged me with her eyes not to intervene. But alas, I couldn't. I could not, so I did not refrain. I said, "Oh, MFer, I know I did not just hear you telling my sister what she can and cannot wear." He was taken aback, because how dare a woman speak to a man in such a manner? His poor delicate little man soul couldn't handle it. But he doubled down and said, "This is between me and my fiancé. Mind your own business." And I let loose the floodgates on this bitch. I verbally castrated this guy. I don't even remember it all. I must have blacked out. I only recall the very end, when I said something like, "I swear to the freaking gods, if I ever hear you say some dumbass misogynistic stuff like that to my sister again, I will tear your ball sack from your body and shove it so far down your throat that your ancestors spit blood." I may have also insulted his V-neck, called his tribal tattoo the symbol for douche, and said his mother left him because she had a vision of what an embarrassment he'd become as an adult with free will. He walked away and pouted for the rest of the day. My sister called me later and said that I shouldn't have made a scene, that I took it too far, that I really upset him, and that I should apologize. I told her I would apologize to him when he apologized to her for demanding she give up her aspirations and happiness for his benefit. Now for the top comments before reading the update. Not the a-hole. Excellent. Good for you. Your sister really needs an intervention. Where are your parents in all this? Mom, dad, and brother hate him too. We've all, in the past, before this incident, attempted to gently advise her. but she can be a little hard-headed and tends to do the opposite of what you say. They're worried, and we're all working on it. We're hoping she'll come to her senses. She's genuinely the smartest chick I know, so we're hopeful she'll figure it out sooner rather than later. Ask your sister why she wants to marry a man who doesn't support her ambition. Ask her why she wants to marry a misogynistic troll. Ask her if she feels supported by him. Ask her if she feels respected in this relationship. Ask if she can truly love a man who treats her like a bangmaid. Send her the relationship quiz from loveisrespect.org and try to get her to do it. I will. Thank you for this. Now for the update. Hi, me again. I have an update. Not yet sure how to link it. Trying to figure that out. But first, thank you for all your comments. You guys are freaking funny. Yes, I loved all the references. The Snatch reference had me rolling. And I now realize that my husband and I really need a hobby that's not TV. Anyway, whoever posted that quiz, I want you to know, you are the real MVP. It worked wonders. I wish you nothing but happiness and prosperity for the remainder of your time on this earth. I honestly just came here to vent and genuinely didn't expect anything constructive to come out of it. So I felt obligated to let you all know what transpired, and then I will happily forget this login and password forever. And no, I'm not AI. If the term thunder cunt is in AI's vernacular, I'm happy to let it take over. In fact, I'd argue that humanity's work here is completely done. Just saying. Anywho, my family's very close. We have breakfast together pretty much every Sunday. My mom calls it church, and she demanded that no children be present for this week's service. The last time she demanded that, we were taking away Grandpa's car keys, so he couldn't forget to put it in park and allow it to casually drift into his neighbor's tulips again. He cried. So I had a feeling Mom was gearing up for an aggressive discussion with my sister's fiancé. Mom made cinnamon rolls, a curiously ball-adjacent dish that I regrettably did not have the opportunity to throw at anyone. And Satan knows that cinnamon rolls are best served with a side of, girl, I'm not telling you what to do, but if you know what's best for you, you'll do what I'm saying. I got there early to get a feel for the temperature of the impending discussion. To give you an idea, here are a handful of paraphrased thoughts Mom and Dad were muttering to one another. Please know my family is very sarcastic and speaks hyperbolically most of the time, and there is no actual malicious intent behind these statements, so don't come for them. Dad, is she too old for a spanking? Mom, I don't know, but our bedroom door locks from the outside. We could keep her in there until she comes to her senses. Dad, I could dress like a hooker. That would really stress him out. Mom, let's just regularly drop into the conversation that she has always been smarter and more successful than him, and she will continue to be those things when he's gone, because he is nothing more than a lapse in her historically good judgment. Dad, she really can't expect me to deliver her to this AITA on her wedding day. Seriously, I'm going to ask her that in front of him. Mom, you will have to hurdle my dead body. No one from this family is allowed at that wedding, and that includes the bride. So they had clearly been discussing and planning for a while. Anyway, my sister arrived, alone. My dad's response, you ask? I see you got the no children memo. My sister's reaction? Well, she started sobbing. Apparently, they had gotten into a fight. Not a physical one, luckily. He's not that particular brand of a-hole. He wound up insulting our beautiful cherub of a mother, my father, and me, naturally. So my sister finally sacked up and told him to get the heck out of her house. Yes, it is her house, which she owned prior to dating him. And I was like, my baby's a genius. Problem solved, right? Wrong. She then went on to say that she was thinking about calling him because she felt bad about how she ended it. When the resounding chorus of boos didn't deter the thought, I turned to Reddit. And Reddit, this is where you sunk a three-pointer with only seconds left in the fourth. Before she had a chance to continue down the wrong side of the IQ curve, I showed her your comments. I had her take the quiz. I kid you not. 5 questions in, she had to stop because she finally realized what we had all been desperately trying to tell her from the start. He's a thunder cunt. She cried again and even said that her therapist had started asking her similar questions over the past couple of months, but she had chalked it up to the one-sidedness of the therapy setting, whatever that means. My mom and I gently informed her that her therapist was likely picking up on his questionable behavior too, and we encouraged her to discuss it further with him and with us if she so chose. Our brother arrived late, but after getting caught up, all he said was, "I'm happy to help you pack his stuff and drag it to the curb." So that's what my brother, my dad, and my sister are doing right now. They are also changing locks, codes, passwords, and anything else that might give him access to her or her property in any capacity. My dad does not mess around with safety and already texted the ex-fiancé to tell him when he would be permitted to come collect his things and that he would be speaking solely with him going forward. Ex-fiancé is definitely pissed, but doesn't have the stones to mess with our very scary-looking father, so he has agreed to cut communication with my sister entirely. And my brother, who is a paramedic/firefighter, is friendly with a lot of cops, so he made sure to casually mention that as well. Thank you again for the constructive feedback. It genuinely made a huge difference and helped us make sure we could help my sister see the light and ensure her safety throughout the process. Last story. Am I the a-hole for siding with my wife over my sister, even though my wife was rude? So my wife and my sister don't really like each other. I'm not sure why, but I guess I know when it became stronger, which is described in the incident below, second paragraph. My wife can be a bit rude, but I know more people who love her than not, so I guess she's not that rude overall. She's kind and warm, so maybe that supersedes her rudeness. When my wife got pregnant, we found out it was a girl, and she had the perfect name picked out for her, a character she loved since she was a kid. I had no objection, because she's adorable when she talks passionately about something. My sister heard the name, and what do you know, she called her new puppy that name. When my wife heard, I knew she was very angry, but she just shook her head and said, "Dogs don't live long. I don't care." My sister was livid about my wife bluntly speaking about her dog dying, and said it was a bad omen. I didn't side with my sister and told her to calm down. Yesterday we had my birthday party. We had just renovated the kitchen with white marble. My wife was worried about red wine and told the guests that red wine was only allowed in the living room. My sister spilled half a bottle on the kitchen island. She said, "Oh, I am so sorry." My wife said, "No, you're most definitely not. You did it on purpose, you pathetic loser." My sister started crying, and my wife told her she could leave if she wanted. "I don't like you. Hope this helps." My wife then left the kitchen. Our friends sided with my wife, but my family called me pussy whipped. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Your sister is intentionally provoking you and your wife, and is plain mean. The thing with the dog was only done out of spite. Your wife asked everyone to keep the red wine in the living room. She didn't say not to drink red wine, only to please drink it in the living room. Your sister then ignored this request and brought red wine into the kitchen. Maybe she didn't plan to spill it, but she for sure wanted to provoke your wife again. I applaud you for standing up for your wife and would suggest telling your sister that it would be better to have some distance for a while. Your sister is only interested in provoking your wife and drama. It's not healthy to have her around. Your sister is the a-hole. How old is your sister? 12? Because she's acting like a child. If you overlook the pathetic loser part, I think your wife is not so much rude, as she is direct and doesn't sugarcoat things. I am Danish, and she would fit right in over here. Sister is 21. Me and my wife are 28. Your sister naming a dog the same as the baby is somewhat a declaration of war. That's a particular level of spite that reflects badly on your sister. I think all bets are off after that. Given that level of spite, I'm inclined to agree with your wife that maybe the spill wasn't accidental. I don't think your wife's behavior is exemplary either, but she has reason to question your sister's motives. My sister made it worse by saying, "How would you have felt if I said your baby will die?" I kept this from my wife. I was glad she didn't hear it. Your sister is a raging bitch. She gave your child's name to her dog and wished death upon your child, and she always purposely tries to trigger your wife. Why exactly is she even allowed near your family? What is the benefit? Do you want her to tell your daughter how she was named after a dog and how she wanted your daughter dead so only her dog could have the name? Your wife chose the name because it had significance for her, unlike your sister, who is just, I have no words, man. She's not allowed near my family anymore. This sparked a new rage wave from my family.